Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Women Inspiration mini series. Today, it is my honor and deep privilege to have an exceptional woman from our Twin Cities community join me in this conversation. From this beautiful background behind me, I'm sure many of you have guessed who today's guest is going to be. She is none other than Amani Jayanti, who I affectionately call Amani Ma, and she is also affectionately referred to as the Annapurna of Minnesota. So, without further ado, there is so much that I want to talk to her and have her share her story with all of you. I'd like you all to join me in welcoming Amani Jayanti to this program. Welcome, Amani Ma. Welcome to the program. It is a delight and a deep honor to have you on this program. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi, Lakshmi. Thanks for having me here. It's so nice to talk to you.
My pleasure, entirely my pleasure. And I have so much to chat with you and hopefully for you to share with our audiences about your beautiful journey. So I wanted to just share with everybody that, the last couple of months, especially when we have all been in this lockdown, obviously there is a lot that you have done in terms of social work and in the community. And many people are aware of this. And we will get to that in a little bit. But I actually want to start your story way before you even came to Minnesota. And I want to start from India, where, you spent your early childhood and, your young adult life in India. So please take us there and start your journey, your involvement with servitude, especially giving to the needy, and in terms of food. So where did that start from, your journey start from? Please share with us.
Okay, now I go here. Initially, this started since I was way too young, I think. I went to a very good school in Hyderabad, which is a missionary, and where we were learned something like service to mankind is service to God. That is when it started. So we used to, for the birthdays and everything, people used to distribute chocolates and all, but I wanted to give pencils and erasers when I was young, so that some people who really need, they can use it.
Wonderful.
So that's how it started since I was young. Later part of the age, I came to know even the same thing is there even in Vedas. Manavat Seva, Madhava Seva. So I did not know till then. So by then I was already married. Initially I used to live in Durgapur. From there I came to Visakhapatnam Steel Plant. And there my real journey started. And very nice place it was. And I had a son by then already. And I used to think, okay, I'm all settled in the life. I was 21. And I should do something, whatever I can. And I used to have so much of butter in the house, and I did not know what to do with it.
How come, Amani Ma? Why was there so much butter in the house?
Because India, we used to have the kattal, and the milk used to be so good, and I used to get tons and tons of butter.
Okay.
And every time I used to ask, can you take it? Can you take it? Then one fine day I thought, why should I give it to somebody? Can I make some big cakes? Because I have a baking degree. I started baking cakes. I make very good cookies, and I started selling them. And those days, hundreds was big money.
Right.
And I used to take this money, and I used to have Mali and all in the house. Their kids used to go to school, and that's how my service started.
So you used to bake all these goodies at home, and from the proceeds of those baked goods sale, you would provide for education for the people that were working in your household, correct?
Yes, very true.
Wonderful. That is so...
My husband is not ready to help me, but I wanted to do from my own side.
That is so beautiful. That is such a beautiful. So it sounds like it started when you were very young, and already it was kind of, inbuilt in you. It just became a part of you. This nature of giving and doing something for others. And for our audiences, I would like to share that you have a degree from Central University in baking. Isn't that right? That's such a prestigious
Yes.
university, and that is wonderful. So fast forward a little bit, Amanima, you have moved here in the early 90s. You moved to America, to United States. And tell us,
Yes.
after you came here and settled down over here, then how did this whole food aspect begin in your life here after you moved here?
Sure. So we came here in 90s, and initially I was feeling a little bored what to do in the house because I didn't have a work permit.
Yes.
And my son was going to the school. And then slowly, okay, there were some people who were working in the home, back home. They needed some education. So in my in-laws' house, we had some cook and everything. So my husband wanted to help them. Then I said, okay, cooking is my passion. I started doing in a small way. And those days I was the only person in the Twin Cities who will do vegetarian food.
Mm.
So no egg, no meat, nothing comes into my house. So that's how people used to come and take food. And I don't know who those people are. A lot of doctors and all used to come from so many far off places.
I know,
And I used to
Rochester
get
too, right? Some people came all the way from Rochester to get food from catered by
Iowa.
you.
Yes, please. Yes. And we used to get a lot of money. Then that whole money, the whole proceeds went to India, and then this went for education purposes. And the kids went to very good schools. Which school I went to?
Wow. And you have started, you and your husband and your husband's family together, you started a trust in India, correct?
Yes. Yes. We have a foundation called Jayanti Foundation. And initially, we were not having this foundation. We were just helping the people for studies.
Mm-hmm.
Then slowly I said, why don't we do something for ourselves only? See, we have our own family, which is very renowned. Why don't we do? Because I was always, after my father-in-law, he's an army man. And I don't know, I love him so much. And I always wanted to keep his family name like that.
Okay.
So then I wanted this. And slowly, everything started coming up through the Jayanti Foundation. And I did a lot with catering in life.
Wow. And so then this foundation helps support other kids' education and their needs, etc.
Yes. And so many other purposes too, not
Wonderful.
only the education.
Wonderful. Auntie, of course, catering and by word of mouth and friends telling friends, I think it became like a huge part of your life here. But you didn't stop at that. You were not just, that wasn't enough for you. You went above and beyond that and became a licensed daycare provider. And started offering daycare for little children. So tell us a little bit about that.
I was working, then once I got my work permit, I started working in the Wyzetta schools. Then after working for several years, I thought, why don't I do something of my own? Then again, at the back of my mind, I always had the service. So then I started this, and I started my own daycare in the home, and no advertisement. Everything is only through referral. So, and people were pouring in, and I really, really enjoyed my daycare. It's my baby, and not only enjoying it, we really relaxed. My husband really supported and helped me a lot.
How many children were you having in your daycare on a daily basis, Auntie?
Once upon a time, I had about 12 kids for years. For years.
Then, I don't know where you find the energy. And let me fast forward, because this is just the beginning of the story for our audiences, because, you know, your entrepreneurial spirit, your deep passion in wanting to do, service and being of service to others didn't stop even with your daycare. You got involved. You actually managed and operated or owned 2 restaurants in the Twin Cities, correct?
Yes, yes.
On top
Initially, I
of
started.
everything else. How do you do it? Amazing.
It was tough. It was tough initially, but once I started, it went very good. And see how it is, how naturally from catering, daycare, went to the restaurants and everything. But the restaurants did not stop me there.
It did not.
There I really started experiencing so many things.
Yes. So
People,
please tell us, because from there you got very much involved with our senior citizens, our seniors who are living here. But there is a connection between the restaurant and how you got involved with the seniors in the community. So can you share that story a little bit about how did that come to be?
Yes, sure. So the restaurant started, and wherein I started meeting a lot of people from a lot of backgrounds, young, small, adults, middle-aged, and seniors. There I stuck to the seniors. And I always wanted to offer senior citizens an extra discount. I don't know why I had this feeling. Then I thought, okay, these people, they want to have some authentic food. And always restaurants, it's not possible to give you the typical authentic homemade food. It's really very tough. Then I thought, okay, then this is not, and I should not even say this because I have some partners also in the restaurant business. So then I thought, okay, let me do whatever I should do in the restaurant. And whatever I want to do to the seniors can be different. So the senior citizens thing, I started doing only through the Jayanti Foundation. So again, I make very simple, very nice, tasty, and healthy food to the seniors and provide them. Because, their palate may want only very simple food. Yes. So I used to see their medical history, and according to that, I used to provide.
Yes, because you mentioned that sometimes they needed to have, salt-free food, or maybe they had blood sugar, so you needed to take care of their dietary restrictions, etc. So you were able to consider all of that, and you came up with elaborate meal plans to plan your food, to plan your groceries, and you started cooking. You started with 12, 15 seniors, but soon, fast forward. And how long have you been doing this, Amanima? For how many years? The seniors?
This is for the past 5 years. 5 years I've been doing this.
And that number has grown from 12 or 15 to nearly 60, regular seniors that you provide meals.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And
I don't know any of these people, by the way. I just don't know any of them. And they're all accidental people whom I met in this journey.
And so every Sunday, do you and your husband go out and deliver food personally to them every Sunday? Can you tell us a little bit about that? What does that Sunday day look like for you and your husband?
Very busy day. I used to make, of course, this was still December. In January, I went to India. That's why. So I used to make full meal for the 6 days for them. And my husband used to help me in packing and putting everything. And both of us used to go to their homes, sit with them, spend some time, quality time, enjoy with them, and give the food, and then come out. So this is the regular schedule. So I was not giving anything very great food or something, but very nice, simple, and healthy food.
And not only that, you also used to pack a few little snacks and treats and tidbits for them, and for their tea time snacks or for in between meals. And that was just so thoughtful, to make simple home cooked, delicious food to their taste, to according to their dietary restrictions. And you gave them a feeling of a little home. You gave them a feeling of like a little India if they were missing their home cooked meal. And I think more than anything else, you spending those few precious minutes sitting and talking to them, connecting with them, I think they really longed for your visit every Sunday, isn't it?
Very, very true. You know, see, the same thing. You look back and think about your own parents. This is what, when you go to India, they feel, okay, my daughter is going out, but they always want you to be with them.
Absolutely.
So this is what I used to see. And evening, my mom lives with my sister, and my sister, 3 o'clock, she gives something, some small snack. And again, 5 o'clock, one candy, something like that, small, teeny, tiny bits of things she keeps giving. So example is that. See how my mom is taken care. She's
But
so blessed with my
this,
sister.
this story itself is so heartwarming to hear you share this. But I have to say for our audiences that the story doesn't end here. Tell me about how you started, serving meals or preparing meals for pregnant ladies and their families in the Twin Cities. How did that happen?
This started with small, teeny, tiny things. I used to see some parents who have just 1-year-old and some when they are pregnant again. And, it's very hard for the young kids that they will be in late 20s or mid 20s or something like that, working, taking care of the kids and everything. So anyway, I'm cooking. Whatever I'm making for me and my husband, I used to give them. Well packed and nice. And initially I did not ask them whether to give or not, but I used to give. And it was such a nice thing. Next day morning, the girl used to expect something from me.
Oh.
Because she wanted, maybe she was craving to eat somebody else's.
Yes. And I think, Amanima, you shared that during this time, so many parents could not travel here to be with their daughters, if expecting mothers or whatever. They were not able to receive the help and support from India due to this lockdown. So you started taking that motherly role. You started, making those loving, satisfying their cravings and, helping them at this time because they were not able to provide for their tiny ones already, and their family, maybe they were having some other issues going on. So you were there to take this worry away from them by preparing some nice, delicious, hot, home-cooked, simple meals. So the daily count of how many people you were cooking for exponentially increased to nearly 100 meals. And I cannot stress this enough to everybody who's watching this right now, that Amanima has been cooking 100 meals, 90 to 100 meals every day for nearly 8 weeks continuously. Just for a moment, pause and think about that. I think I cook for 20 people one night and the next day I'm done. And where do you get your strength from? Where do you get your inspiration from, your motivation from, that keeps you going?
That Annapurna is giving me that energy.
Oh my God.
That's all. Nothing else.
You have been named very affectionately as the Annapurna of the Twin Cities. A very, very apt name, very rightly so, because you're giving nature and wanting to make a difference in the community through a basic essential need of food. For centuries, for generations, food is something all of our mothers, their love and affection pours out in terms of, did you eat? Do you want something to eat? You haven't eaten well. These are the ways that moms express their love and express their emotions. And you are no different than that, Amani Auntie. We cannot thank you enough for your services, for just how much you are doing every single day for the community. I know you've gone above and beyond just what we've shared in the short time together. I know you've sent a lot of meals to all the PPE team leads, to unsung heroes, to yes, I know all your stories, even though you may not publicly share them, but I know a lot of people have been recipients of your generosity, of your love, and of your delicious cooking. Silent auction. How many dishes haven't you made and donated towards raising funds for PPE through the silent auction? Your Gomkura Pachadi. I saw all the comments there. Your Kala Jamun and so many other dishes. So I just want to wrap up by saying thank you so much. It is I'm having chills talking to you because it is such a honor to be sharing this space with you, belonging in the same community as you. I am so inspired and touched by your story, and I hope I can do 0.1% of what you are doing in the community. Thank you so much, Amini.
Thank you.
Namaste. Bye-bye.
Bye.